Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I am coming at you with my July wrap-up. It is currently August 2nd, which seems crazy to me, and I cannot believe how many fall things are out right now. Like all the, I don't know if I can do this. Oh geez, I took up more books than I even wanted to. Whew, okay. Does this even look good? Just all like the Halloween stuff that's already out, and I'm excited, but I still want to grasp on to that little bit of fall we have left. So it's tough. But anyway, I wanted to go through my stats for July, and then in the first part of my wrap up, I always go through my 2, 3, and 4 stars, and then I do another video with just my favorites as well as favorites that I've enjoyed during the month. So this part of the wrap up is going to be my stats. Really, cicadas? I really want to film outside. They're so loud. Can you calm down? Thank you. So let's see if we can get through this without the cicadas being super loud. So I read 18 books this month, excellent month. I read 5,420 pages. 6 of those were print, 2 of those were ebooks, and 10 of them were audiobooks. I was on an audiobook binge this month. My favorite book of the month you'll find out in the next video. So let's go ahead and start with my 3-star reviews. So I participated in the Reading Rush, and I read The Willoughbys for that. So the prompt was to read a book of the movie you've already seen but haven't read the book, and I didn't really know what to pick for that, and then I had just, I was going through Netflix to see what was on there and realized, oh, The Willoughbys, we just watched that a while ago, and it's a Lois Lowry book, so I thought it'd be fun. So I grabbed that. It was cute, it was quirky, but, it was just average for me. The next one, I read an e-arc of Again Again by E.A. Lockhart. I think that's right. And I was so excited about the premise of the book, and it just fell short for me. So essentially, you get all these weird, timelines. I don't even know how to explain it. She goes through something happening to her, and then she, goes through it again, but a different way of that thing happening. But then all of a sudden, 3/4 of the way through the book, everything changes again. So I was so confused at what the author really wanted from that take and, what was actually going on. So I still gave it 3 stars because I was attentive and entertained by the book, but I'm still confused, no idea what it was supposed to be. The next one I read was Mooncakes, and I know that this one was a lot of people's favorite, or one of their favorite graphic novels, but I just felt like it was lacking something. I couldn't really connect as much to the characters and the story. It just felt like it had plot holes that needed to be fleshed out. I liked it. The art style was cute. The concept of the main characters, there was a non-binary main character. So I really enjoyed that diversity in the book. And then the last one I read was The Tenant. I randomly picked this one up at the library because I believe Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte had read it, and I couldn't remember her review, but I was interested enough. It was very much a detective front thriller, but it was kind of confusing, and then the ending just fell really short for me. I was like, oh, well, So that was kind of sad, but it was, I listened to the whole thing, enjoyed it, but it was just not the best thriller I've read recently. Okay, let's get into the 4-star reviews. So the first 4-star I have is Thomas Wildis and the Book of Sorrows. I actually got sent this one by the publisher, this and then the next book in the series, and I really enjoyed it. Thomas finds out that he has magical powers. His mother is known, his father has disappeared, and he gets sucked into this whole world quickly because he needs to help save the magical realm. So it was really cool. There were some fun, quirky characters. I read it pretty quickly, just outside by the pool, so I really enjoyed that. So it was a fun read. The next one is The Glass Hotel. I think Emily St. John Mandel is amazing. Her writing is so good, and the way that she can weave characters in and out through different parts of the stories and make them all come together is so cool. And the premise of this glass hotel out in the middle of nowhere as the focus of the story, but not really at all, was so interesting. And I don't really want to spoil it at all, but there's like a brother and sister set, and then a rich older man, and just kind of how their stories all intertwined. The next one I read for my new fantasy, or the new fantasy book club that I'm a part of, was Nevernight. I've wanted to read this one for a while. I've picked it up a couple times and not read it, and just decided like I'm gonna do it this time because everybody raves about it, and I love the idea of like assassin schools and like trials and all that, so I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I didn't love it. Like, I feel like maybe I'm gonna connect more in the second and third books, so I definitely want to continue the series. I gave it 4 stars, thought it was great. I listened to some of the audiobook, and I think that helped with the footnotes, because then I didn't feel like I was drawn out of the story, because that is something I've heard from a lot of people. The next one I read was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I loved it. I ate it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sat here in this hammock a lot and read it. Essentially, Maggie's dad wrote a book about their time in this haunted house and how she was seeing ghosts, and then all these crazy things were happening, and they left. And Maggie was small, like 5 years old, and Maggie doesn't even believe it's true. She doesn't remember any of it, but her dad is adamant that she doesn't go back to her house. The mom is adamant that she doesn't go back, but her dad passes away. She goes back to the house, and she works on figuring out if it was real or not real, or what actually happened, and who her family really was, because she's starting to find out that her dad didn't always tell her the truth. The next one I listened to was Tweet Cute. This one had just been on my radar probably from the beginning of the year, when we have those like most anticipated reads of 2020, and I thought it was just so heartwarming. Essentially, the main characters, a guy and a girl, the girl's mom or parents owns a burger shop, and the boy's parents own a deli, and they kind of start a Twitter war. But in the middle of this, the kids, you know, fall in love and figure out who they are and what they want to do. So I just thought it was super heartwarming. And they make this grilled cheese in the book that I need the recipe for, because it sounds amazing. The next one was The Explorer, and I read this for the middle grade monthly read of the month. It wasn't at all what I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be this like epic adventure through the jungle, because essentially these 4 kids that don't know each other before are on a plane that crashes in the jungle, and so it turns into more of a survivalist situation where they need to figure out how to get home, and then they meet a man who is living in the jungle and trying to preserve it, and it's a very quirky character. There's some really funny things in here, so I really liked that. So I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it for the month. I'm definitely excited to pass it on to my nephew. The next 2 or 3 maybe, I don't know, the next few I read also for the reading rush. The first one was The Wedding Date. That was just cute. Trying to think, somebody had put it on their list for the reading rush, and I don't read a ton of romances and have really been enjoying them, especially during the summer when they're more light and fluffy. Essentially, a guy meets a girl on an elevator, and he doesn't have a date for a wedding, and he asks her, and the rest is history. So it was very cute, it was quirky, it was funny. The next one I read, I know that quite a few people really enjoyed The Flat Share. Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads, like, had it on one of her lists for her favorites from 2019, so I finally got to it. And it was just very cute, and I listened to it. I did have the physical book, but ended up listening to it. And you do have to like get used to the male voice, because it's very like almost like he's writing a memo, which works for the fact that these people are sharing the same apartment but never there at the same time, so they only communicated at the beginning through post-it notes. But I really enjoy Beth O'Leary's writing and actually found her other book through this, so I was definitely very excited to read it. It was super cute. I really hope the audio is okay on this. I am so sorry for these cicadas. They have been so loud for months. Okay, the next one is The Final Girls by Riley Sager. I couldn't get enough of Riley Sager this month, so I needed to read The Final Girls. And it was so good. I was like addicted to listening to it, where I was like listening to it while I was waiting to return something at Walmart and listening to it on the way to the lake in the car. Like, I just couldn't get enough of it. It was so good. The next one is a graphic novel that I listened to, which was such a cool experience to see how it was going to be more inclusive for those readers who need to listen rather than physically read the graphic novel. So I really liked that. It was called The Girl Who Owned a City, and it was a graphic novel based on a book I hadn't read. So I went into it not knowing at all what was going to go on, but I really liked it. Essentially, there's a virus that kills all the adults, and so pretty much any 13 and older child and adult passed away from the virus, so there was only kids left. And so these kids are working on how to support themselves, how to create a society, how to protect what they have, because, you know, just like every other Walking Dead, zombie, survival thing, there's good human beings and there's the ones that are not so good. And finally, my last 4-star for the month was Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which I read for the contemporary book club that I'm in. And I enjoyed Get a Life, Chloe Brown, but I loved Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I really enjoyed Red in the first book, but Zafi in the second book was just such up my alley. Just such a cutie. And so essentially Dani doesn't date. Like, she doesn't have a long-term relationships, and she gets into this fake dating situation with Zafi and realizes that maybe she isn't doing the right thing for herself. And it's just really cute, and I love the characters. And Tabitha, what's her name? I think it's Tabitha Hibbett. If I'm wrong, you'll see it on the screen. But she is just such a funny writer. She's such a great writer. So I'm super excited because there's a third sister, and that book I think is coming out in 2021 or 2022. So very excited for that. So those are my 3- and 4-star reviews for the month of July. And stay tuned for the next video so you can see what my favorites were for the month. I would love it if you guys subscribe and join our priory. And I will see you in the next video.